This is the story of the Ron Clark story, a movie based on a real teacher who left behind a comfortable life to take on the class nobody else wanted. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why this movie has made grown adults cry in their living rooms. Stick around, because what this one teacher pulls off with a room full of unteachable kids is honestly kind of unbelievable. Let's get into it. We open on Ron Clark, a small-town teacher in North Carolina who is already really good at his job. His class has tested as the best in the county for 4 years straight. He's got the kind of life most teachers dream of: steady, respected, comfortable. At a celebration for his students, his community basically tells him they see him as a permanent fixture there. And that's exactly the moment he realizes he doesn't want to stay in his comfort zone anymore. He tells his parents he's heard New York's public schools are desperate for good teachers, and he's decided that's where he needs to go. His mom is obviously not thrilled, throwing out the classic parent worry about how dangerous New York can be. But Ron's mind is made up. He packs up and heads north, ready to prove himself somewhere brand new. The second Ron lands in New York, the movie makes it clear this is not going to be a smooth ride. He checks into a cheap room, cash only, and immediately gets a taste of the city's attitude. When he asks a local woman at the front desk for a list of Harlem schools because he wants to teach there, she basically laughs in his face and warns him he has no idea what he's walking into. Ron doesn't listen. He starts going door to door with his resume, and school after school turns him down flat, even after he points out that his old students all tested above grade level. Nobody's interested. To pay the bills, he ends up taking a job as a waiter at a Cleopatra and Mark Antony themed restaurant, of all places, working alongside actors who mock him a little for trying to be a real teacher in a city full of performers. While there, he meets a woman named Marissa, who plays Cleopatra at the restaurant and is dating another actor there named Jason. It's a small moment, but it plants the friendship that ends up meaning a lot to Ron later in the film. Eventually, Ron gets his shot with a principal named Mr. Turner. Turner runs a school where kids are split into classes by test scores, and he's blunt that the lowest-ranked class has serious behavior and learning problems, including a boy named Tayshawn, who is already close to getting sent to a juvenile facility. Right in front of Ron, the previous teacher of that class actually quits on the spot after getting physically attacked by one of the students. Instead of being scared off, Ron practically begs Turner to let him take that exact class, the one everyone else has given up on. Turner warns him the class ran through 6 different teachers before the last Christmas break, but Ron won't budge. Turner finally agrees, but makes it clear the goal is simple. State exams are coming in May, and Turner cares about test scores because that's what keeps his own job safe. Ron accepts the deal and gets ready to meet his new students. Before class even starts, Ron does something most teachers skip. He goes out and meets his students' families. He meets Julio's mom, a very young single parent who had her son at 14 and is juggling more than anyone her age should have to. He meets Badria, a quieter, more studious kid whose father brushes Ron off mid-conversation. Then there's Shamika, who answers her own door surrounded by younger kids. Ron initially assumes they're her siblings, but she corrects him. At 12 years old, she's the one raising them while also working 2 jobs to help support her family, on top of dealing with a brother who's on parole. It's a gut punch of a moment that tells you exactly how much these problem kids are actually carrying. By the time class actually begins, we see the full picture. Kids talking over each other, throwing insults, openly betting on how many days it'll take before Ron quits, like all the others before him. Tayshawn shows up with real hostility baked into him. This is not a class that's going to be easy to win over. Instead of trying to control the chaos with threats, Ron lays out a simple set of rules. They're a family now, which means they look out for each other. Rule 2. Respect, which means being addressed properly and actually listening when someone's talking. Rule 3. They move as a unit, lining up together to go anywhere as a class. The kids push back on every single one of these rules immediately. Shamika, in particular, refuses to line up at all. Ron doesn't yell or punish her directly. Instead, he tells the whole class that if one person breaks a rule, nobody eats lunch that day. The class turns on Shamika for holding up their food, and eventually, she gives in and gets in line. It's a small scene, but it sets up exactly how Ron operates for the rest of the movie. He doesn't force respect through fear. He builds a system where the kids start holding each other accountable because they're starting to actually care about each other as a group. The middle stretch of the movie is really Ron chipping away at years of these kids being told they don't matter. He starts connecting lessons to things they actually care about. There's a genuinely fun scene where he ties a Martin Luther King speech to the simple, relatable image of a fire hydrant bursting open on a hot day. And it actually lands with the class. He also makes a deal that if the kids can teach him to double Dutch jump rope, he'll teach them everything they need for the next grade level. Watching a grown man fumble through jump rope with a room full of kids cracking up at him does more for their trust in him than any lecture could. Then there's the chocolate milk grammar lesson, where Ron promises that if the class stays quiet and focused, he'll chug a carton of chocolate milk every 15 seconds until he throws up. It's ridiculous, it's silly, and it works. Because for the first time, these kids are excited to sit still and actually learn a grammar rule. Two students in particular get a lot of focus. Tayshawn is constantly being pulled toward trouble by an older guy pressuring him to sell stuff on the street. And it's clear this is the path everyone around him expects him to take. Ron catches him with stolen items from his own mother's purse, and instead of punishing him formally, makes him work off the debt with tutoring sessions instead. We also learn Tayshawn is a foster kid, and his foster father openly resents having him around, at one point saying flat out he doesn't want him in the house. It's a rough scene that quietly explains a lot about why Tayshawn walks around with so much anger built up. Then there's Shamika. Ron tries to help her with an overdue homework assignment, even going as far as making dinner for her family so she can focus on her paper instead of house duties. Her mother comes home furious, accusing Ron of overstepping into her home life, and for a moment, it looks like Ron might get pulled off the case entirely. Shamika herself steps in and defends him, and it's one of the first times we see a student actually fighting to keep Ron around. While all this is happening in the classroom, Ron's friendship with Marissa keeps developing in the background. She helps him move into his new apartment. They grab food together, and there's an easy, comfortable chemistry between them, even though she's still with Jason, who's chasing acting opportunities out in Los Angeles. At one low point, after a rough day where Ron admits he actually shook a student's desk out of pure frustration, Marissa is the one who talks him off the ledge. She reminds him these kids deal with way worse than one bad day, and that he might genuinely be the one person who turns things around for them. It's her pep talk that gets him back in that classroom the next morning, instead of walking away for good. Ron also pushes himself physically for the class, literally getting sick with pneumonia from overworking himself and refusing real bed rest. Rather than stop teaching, he has a friend record his lessons on tape so the kids don't lose momentum while he recovers. That's basically the whole movie in one scene. Him choosing the kids over his own comfort, again and again. As the exam date gets closer, tension boils over. Tayshawn lashes out at another student, Julio, after feeling humiliated in front of the class. And it nearly turns into a fight. Behind the scenes, we learn Tayshawn's foster situation is getting worse, and there's a hearing to decide whether he should be expelled altogether and sent away. In that meeting, one official straight up wants him sent to a juvenile facility. Ron argues instead that kicking him out just guarantees he falls further behind, and that the school owes him a real chance instead of an exit. It's a tense scene that lays out exactly what's at stake for a kid like Tayshawn if the adults around him give up. With everything hanging in the balance, Ron gives the class arguably the movie's biggest pep talk, comparing what they're about to do to rock climbing off a cliff edge, describing the fear of jumping and the reward of feeling like you're flying once you finally do. The morning of the state exam finally arrives. The kids who spent the whole movie insisting they were losers and would never pass anything now sit down with pencils in hand, visibly nervous but ready. Ron and the class have clearly put in the work, from grammar lessons to a genuinely funny rap they use to memorize all of the US presidents in order. To celebrate how hard the class worked, Ron takes the students to see a Broadway show as a surprise, letting them experience something most of them never imagined would be part of their year. It's a pure, well-earned moment of joy after everything the class has been through together. Then the movie brings it all home. Turner shows up with the state exam results in hand, revealing that Ron's class, the class officially considered the worst in the entire school, scored higher than every other class in the school, including the honors kids who were supposed to be the smart ones. Shamika, the same girl who once refused to even do her homework, ends up with perfect scores in both English and math, the only student in the whole district to pull that off. The film closes on the class handing Ron his own award, naming him the best teacher around, capping off a movie that spent its whole runtime proving that these problem kids were never the problem to begin with. What makes this movie stick with people isn't really the test scores at the end. It's everything that happens before them. It's a teacher who didn't just show up to teach a subject, but actually showed up for the messy, complicated lives these kids were living outside the classroom walls. Every kid in that class carried something heavy, whether it was Shamika raising her own siblings at 12, or Tayshawn being told by his own foster home that he wasn't wanted. And the film's whole argument is that none of that heaviness meant they couldn't rise. They just needed somebody willing to actually believe they could. If there's one thing to take away here, it's that the lowest expectations placed on a person rarely say anything about what they're capable of.